The photograph is sitting on your desk. You don't want to look at it, but you have to, because this is your job, your only job, to see every detail in that photograph, to see what others can't: crime scene, victim, position, the way the body was left. These aren't just evidence. These are a message. And the man who sent that message is still out there. You are with the FBI Behavioral Analysis Unit, the BAU, Quantico, Virginia. This file landed on your desk 3 weeks ago. Since that day, you haven't slept. Not really, because every time you close your eyes, you see that photograph. But how did you get here? Let's start from the beginning. The beginning. Field agent. Everything started at the FBI Academy in Quantico. 21 weeks. Law, ethics, investigation techniques, firearms training, physical conditioning, psychology, and most importantly, reading people. There are 50 people in your class, all from different backgrounds: law graduates, accountants, former military, police officers, language specialists. A college degree is required to become an FBI special agent. But the field doesn't matter. What matters is what you bring with you. You have a psychology degree, and from the very first day you notice something. Others stand out in firearms training. Others stand out in physical testing. You stand out in behavioral science. Your instructor says something to you. You see people differently. That rarely happens. You never forget that sentence. 21 weeks are done. You graduated, special agent badge on your chest. First assignment, Chicago field office. White-collar crime unit. Fraud. Counterfeiting. Securities manipulation. Not exciting, but important, because here you learn something. Why people lie. How people lie. What's underneath the lie. 3 years pass. Good record. Clean file. And then that transfer comes through. Quantico. BAU. Behavioral Analysis Unit. When you return to Quantico, everything looks different. Same buildings, same hallways, but this time you're walking through a different door. The BAU door. On your first day, the senior agent who greets you says one thing: welcome. But know this work will change you. It changes everyone. The question is, how much do you leave behind and how much do you carry? Inside the BAU, there are different desks: serial homicide, violent crimes, crimes against children, terrorism. You've been assigned to the serial homicide desk. Your first file arrives. Iowa, a small town, 2 victims, 6 months apart, same modus operandi. Local police have hit a wall. They need a profile. What does a profile mean? A profile means this: you study the victim, you study the scene, you study the photographs, you study the witness statements, and from all of that, you build a person. Not real yet, but very close to real. Age, gender, occupation, neighborhood, whether they drive, social relationships, the source of their anger, their trigger. You sit down at your desk, you open the photographs, and you look. Profiling, reading people. People misunderstand profiling. The Hollywood version goes like this: a genius instantly sees everything. One look, and the killer is found. The reality is this: hours, days, sometimes weeks, and most of the time it's not certain. Probability, pattern, behavior. Howard Tetton and Pat Milani, the FBI's first profilers in the early 1970s. While teaching at Quantico, they noticed something. Crime scenes speak. A killer always leaves something behind, something of themselves, without realizing it. That idea built the foundation of the BAU. You are learning 30 years of research built on top of that foundation. Organized versus disorganized offenders. Planned versus impulsive. Victim-connected versus stranger. Fantasy-driven versus opportunistic. And most importantly, staging. The killer sometimes alters the scene, not to hide evidence, but to send a message. To whom? Sometimes to the police, sometimes to the media, sometimes to themselves. You return to the Iowa file. 2 victims. First, a 34-year-old woman, married, 2 children. She worked as a cashier at a grocery store. Found location, outside town, wooded area. But her hands were folded, neatly, almost carefully. this is not an anger killing. Second, a 41-year-old woman, widowed, no children. She was a nurse. Same position, same care. You write something in the file. This man respects them, or believes he does. This is not a power fantasy. This is a connection fantasy. Age probably 30 to 45, moderately educated, has a steady job, appears normal on the surface, respected in his social circle. But somewhere inside him, there is something these women represent, something he could never reach. You complete the profile. You send it to Iowa. 3 weeks later, the phone rings. Your profile was very accurate. The man has been apprehended. 34 years old, high school teacher, married, respected in the community, and inside him, that darkness nobody knew about. Years pass, the heavy weight. Years pass, dozens of files, hundreds of victim photographs, each one different. Each one leaves something behind inside you. BTK-type cases, Ted Bundy-type cases, cases involving children, serial assault. In every single one, you do the same thing. You sit down at your desk, you open the photographs, and you look. Research conducted with BAU profilers says one thing very clearly. Average career length is 8 to 10 years. After that, most request transfers or take early retirement. Why? Because a human being cannot carry this much darkness. The brain learns something over time. To enter the mind of a killer, you have to think like them. And once you start thinking like them, coming back gets harder. Do you know what challenged you most? Empathy. A good profiler empathizes with the victim. That's understandable. Painful, but understandable. But a good profiler also has to empathize with the killer. To see through their eyes. To think with their logic. To answer the question of why they did it. You have to understand what it felt like to them. And once you've crossed that line, nothing is ever the same again. You walk into a grocery store. Someone is at the register. Your eyes automatically scan. Posture, hand movements, eye contact. What type? What pattern? You don't decide to do this. Your brain just does it now. You're eating dinner with your spouse. A man is sitting at the table across from you, alone, keeps glancing toward the door, keeps his hands below the table. You are still at your table. But a part of you never stops watching that man. The peak and what comes after. 15 years in the bow, you are now a senior profiler. You coordinate cases across the country. You train new agents. You testify as an expert witness in court. And sometimes, files find you. This one is different. A case unsolved for 7 years. 4 states. 6 victims. No connection found. You sit down at your desk. You open the photographs, and you look. Hours pass. There's something there, but you can't see it yet. You feel it. There is a pattern in this file. Then you see it, the locations. All of them along a highway corridor, near truck stops. But the victims are local. This man travels, regularly, the same route, for work. You write the profile. Truck driver, age 40 to 55, long haul. West Coast corridor. Lives alone. Disorder in personal life but discipline in work life. Trigger, stress. Possible traffic violation records in more than one state. The FBI and local police work in coordination. 6 weeks later, the phone rings. We found him. You look at the man in the photograph. 52 years old, Utah plates on the truck, and in his eyes, nothing. Flat. Empty. That night you go home. You open the door. You walk in. Maybe you make some tea. Your spouse asks, "How was it?" "Good," you say. "Good." You close a 7-year-old file. 6 victims, those empty eyes, with one word, because there's no other way to say it. The words don't exist. This is what it means to be an FBI profiler. Thousands of hours of training. Years of field experience. Decades of looking into the darkest parts of human beings. And in the end, you learn one thing. Evil is understandable. It is not inexplicable. It cannot be justified, but it can be understood. And understanding it is the only way to stop it. These people sit in those rooms at Quantico every single day, looking at photographs, thinking. You don't see them. Their names don't appear in the news. Most of the time, they testify in closed sessions in court. But while you are watching this video, right now, someone is sitting at that desk, opening a file, looking at photographs, and in those photographs, seeing a message nobody else can see. If you made it all the way here, drop one word in the comments. Profile. Nothing else. Just that word. Let's see who really watched until the end. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe. Tell us in the comments who we should cover next. See you in the next one.